Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 4 of Animation Master Summit 2021. I'm your host, Mrinalini. As usual, before we start the session, I would like to lay out some house rules for the Zoom webinar. Number one, kindly do not use the raise hand tab in your Zoom window, as this can hamper your viewing experience and cause visual disturbances. Number two, if you have a question to our master, please put it in the Q&A box and not on the comment box. Hope the house rules are clear to all. Today's master's personal as well as professional journey is culturally rich and creatively enviable. Born in India, brought up in the Netherlands, and settled in Hollywood, music composer Vidjay Beerepoot has an incredible portfolio of achievements to his credits. Winner of several awards, Mr. Vidjay is the man behind the soulful score of the critically acclaimed animation film Ainbo and the edgy soundscape of Netflix, The Little Vampire 3D. Having worked with almost all of the major studios in Hollywood, Mr. Vidjay is currently working on some exciting new projects with Disney and Cinema Management Group. Without further ado, I invite to the AMS platform music composer Vidjay Beerepoot. Welcome, Vidjay, and over to you.
Hi, thank you so much for the very kind introduction, and I'm very honored to be part of this whole event. And let me start saying that I hope everyone in India is doing fine with everything that's going on with the pandemic. It's been kind of crazy to think that we're all we're over a year in this pandemic, and and it definitely has an effect on especially the industry I work in. As a composer, I'm very fortunate that I normally work from home, so I've been able to keep working a little bit, but I'm very aware that that's not the case for everyone. So my best wishes to everyone there. I thought it would be fun and interesting to talk a little bit about my journey from India, where I was born, and all the way to Hollywood, where I'm now. And also to talk a little bit about my work as a composer for animation in particularly. And to also explain a little bit what the differences are in like movies and TV shows, and also what the process is to actually compose for animation and how that's different than, for example, for live action shows. So to start, I go back to the beginning. I was born in India, in Kolkata, and when I was a few weeks old, I was adopted. I was brought to Holland in the Netherlands, and my adoption parents, my dad is from Holland, my mom is from Suriname, which is in South America, and at the time it was a Dutch colony. So, and I also have a sister who's also adopted from India. So right from the start, we already had like a super diverse family in Holland. So I grew up there. I was always playing music when I was like super young. And when I was a little older in elementary school, I joined the local theater group because I loved everything art. I was always drawing. I was always like writing, creating things. And then I thought, oh, I want to perform. So aside from the music, I started to work I started to perform as a little actor in the local kids theater group, and that kind of grew into more like a professional thing. First, I was just there as an amateur actor. Then I started to do music for that local theater group, and that kind of grew into bigger projects. And then years later, I was doing like professional big stage productions back in Holland. So after high school, I was graduate from high school in Holland. I had to decide what to do. And I was thinking, what I'm going to do, because I have a very broad interest in things. And one of the things I was seriously considering was space engineering. There's a really great university in Holland that has a great program. So I was thinking that could be a really cool thing. But I was always working with music. And at that time, I'm talking about like 20 years ago, there weren't a lot of programs with music. So I had the choice to go to like conservatory and study piano, but I thought it was a little bit too limited. and I didn't want to dedicate my whole life on one instrument. So I found out that there was this program in the university in Utrecht in Holland that was music composition for kind of media. So it was like arts, theater, like multimedia, so film. So I thought, okay, that could be interesting. So one of the I think the most important things was that when I choose to do that, I made a very conscious decision about that career. I thought, well, if I'm going to go into the music industry, it's going to be really difficult. It's going to be really tough. And I didn't know exactly how and what was going to happen. But I did know that, okay, if I'm going to do this, then I have to go for it 100%, 1000%. And I think that is very important for, I think for everyone that's, you know, thinking of maybe doing, having a career in anything creative. It's definitely worth it, but you have to have a very long-term goal. You have to be very persistent, and also, you have to love it. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. When I started the program in Holland at the university, I saw that a lot of people, for example, in my class, some of them, they were like, oh, I like music. I like playing music. So I thought I'm just going to do this program. Well, that's not going to be enough. Most of the people I studied with in Holland, they're completely doing something else right now, because it's very tough to get this career going. So I graduated there in Holland, my master's, and then I started working in Holland. And then after a while, I was doing movies and TV shows in Holland and Belgium. And after a while, I was like, yeah, I don't know. And I had a pretty good, I could make a living, and I had like a nice place to live, and I had friends and family. Everyone was close there. But something was still nagging at me. And I was like, I think there's something more about me, and I think I can improve myself, but I don't know if I can do that here in Holland. One of the reasons is that the industry in Europe, or especially in where I grew up in Holland, it's much smaller than here in Hollywood. And all the movies and the TV show I grew up with in the 80s, they were all like those big, Hollywood shows and things. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do this career, then I'm going to go for it 100%. And I'm just going to, go like aim for the best that's possible. So my aim was like, okay, I want to do like the biggest movies and TV shows that it's possible. Because otherwise I thought, then it's not worth it. I have to aim for the best or nothing. It's kind of all of nothing. And I know not everyone is like that, but I felt very strongly that I had to go for it like 100%. So after I, worked a little bit in Holland, I decided to check out LA. I didn't really know anything about it. So in 2009, I visited LA and to see if I would, how I found, like how I was thinking about the city and if I could live here. And then I went back to Holland and I thought, I think I could do this. And that was just about the time that there was the big, the crisis in 2009. And for the first time, I didn't really have a lot of work. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to go to Hollywood. But then I thought, well, how I'm going to do that? Because there's like different ways. You would say I could just pack my things, move to Hollywood, and then just trying to make connections. But I thought, no, I actually really want to learn how to write with an orchestra. Because when I started as a kid in the local theater group, one thing about the theater world or the musical theater world is that you always work in a group with people. Even as a composer, you're kind of part of the creation process. So you're there at rehearsals, in meetings, you work with the actors. So and I really, I love people. I love to work with people. I used to perform a lot in orchestras, in bands, when I was a kid. And when I decided that I wanted to go more into the film world, what I'm doing now, that's a whole different kind of thing. That's way more kind of lonely, because everyone is doing their own things in different places. And then in the end, it kind of comes all together. Very different than a theater show where you kind of create with a whole group all together the thing at the same time. So I thought, if I'm going to be a film composer in Holland, well, what's going to happen? Probably what's going to happen is that I will end up like in a little room composing the music behind my computer, and then it's going to be sent out in the world, and that's it. And then I won't be really able to work with a team. And the reason for that is that because the industry is so small, the budget are too small to actually have a team, and also sometimes to record with an orchestra and work with musicians and create this whole the best of the best with a lot of people. And I thought, yeah, that's not what I want to do. So I thought, if I'm just gonna learn how to do it the way how they do it in LA, then maybe I have a chance in actually working here and to work with people and have a team of people around me, and work with an orchestra and work with people, and create something together, like the theater world. So that's the reason I kind of came here. So I studied here at USC and did the film scoring program. And my first idea was to just do the program and then go back to Europe, and then kind of use that knowledge and apply it to the industry there. But then some opportunities came, and I thought, I can also work remotely for Europe. I can still get European projects and do it here. And I've been here already for 11 years. So that's kind of the main reason I came here. What I didn't know is that aside from the music, I learned so much more about kind of myself and about life and about other things that made me who I am today. And I'm so grateful for that. If you move to another country, or that it opens up your eyes and you see the world differently. Well, when I was adopted, I was so little that I don't really remember anything from India. But when I grew up in Holland, I always kind of, I never felt really different, but I did feel that there was something more about me than Dutch culture. And I consider myself Dutch. But I definitely felt like, yeah, there is something more I need to explore. So I think music, it's a universal language. Everyone understands it. You can play a piece of music to anyone in the world, and he or she will have an emotional reaction to it. So I think that's a great tool to tell a story, because it's so universal. And music is all about storytelling. And I think that the reason why I love animation so much is that in a lot of animation projects, most of the time, or maybe always, it's about a character that is placed in an unusual situation. And I feel that's kind of my story. So I can really relate to a character that's put into a different situation and kind of like has to find, their way into the world, and what is the purpose and where do you belong and all those questions. And I really feel that I can really dive deep into myself to understand how that is, and then translate that into music. So that's why I think that animation is a really good vehicle to do that. I also work on live action movies. but it's definitely different. So I just wanna show you some little things and talk a little bit about animation. Let me just get a sip. So what kind of different animation projects do I work on? Well, movies, TV shows, and video games. I'm not going to really talk about video games, but most of the video games, I've done a lot of video games. It's all animated. So it's kind of like in that same world, but it's kind of a different process, how that works. So I'm going to mainly talk about movies and TV. So to start with movies, animated movies. Well, it's a very different animal than a TV show. Why? First of all, it takes a very long time for an animation movie to make in general, the whole production. And me as a composer, I like to be involved like as early as possible, sometimes when there's a script, just to talk with the makers and get a sense of what we want, what kind of story we want to tell. And then most of the time, it takes sometimes a few years to be attached to a project. Doesn't mean that I work all the time on that project, but it's more in phases. First phase is like we talk about the script and the story, and then I would go, and make some demos or some music based on what I think that fits the story. And then I give that back. Then the animations process starts, which takes, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 years sometimes. And then, I'm on to other projects, and then that at some point it comes back, and then I have to compose the score. So it's a very long process, which is, it's nice because you can really think about things. You can really develop the music and really fine tune it. But it's a very long process. So I thought it would be maybe interesting to show you. I want to play you something from the latest movie, which is in theaters now in the world, and it's where it is possible, and hopefully it's going to be in theaters more soon. And that's the movie Aimbo. And this movie is about the Peruvian Amazon, which is very interesting because I'm obviously not, Latin American. I don't have a Latin American background. So the nice thing about LA is that it's a melting pot of cultures. So I have friends that live here from all around the world, and it's so interesting to hear stories about their cultures and their their view on life or their view on things. And it really helps you, I think, as a person, but also creatively to see things from different angles. So for this movie Aimbo, which the makers wanted to have a more like a conventional score, but definitely with like a Latin American Peruvian sound. So I'm very lucky that I'm in LA. There's a lot of people here from South America, and I have a lot of close friends that are also in the music industry. So I can consult them, and there's like a lot of musicians here that I can say, hey, I wrote this melody. How can you, if you can record that and perform that, how can we make this sound more Peruvian? And then the musician would say, well, I have this nice instrument, and if I play it like this, then it will sound way more like ethnic. And that's the reason what I love about making music with people, because together you create something bigger. I don't know everything. I don't know. I know a little bit about music, about writing, but it's so nice to work with other people and then see the whole product get better and better. So I wanted to play you a little clip from Aimbo. I cannot show you any pictures because the movie is still in theaters, but I want to show you some audio. And the reason I want to show you that is that in a long movie, Aimbo is about like 90 minutes long, you really have the time to develop like melodies and themes. So I thought it may be interesting or fun to show you a few like parts of the movie. I'm not going to tell you what it's about because I don't want to spoil it, but this is like one particular theme, and this theme comes back multiple times, but it's always in a different kind of vibe. Like sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's happy, sometimes it's adventurous. And I thought maybe it's interesting to just show you what you can do in a big movie with one like melody and then have variations of it. So I'm going to share the a little QuickTime, and hopefully everyone can hear this. And I'm going to start it. Starts a little soft. Okay, so this was kind of like the main theme of the movie, and now I'm going to show you some variations of it. Okay, so this is just kind of like, it gives you an idea of different variations of a melody. And the nice thing about if you have 90 minutes of story, you can really kind of like play the melody and take the time. And these are just little snippets of those melody, and the actual pieces are much longer. So it's really nice to develop themes, which what you can do with a movie. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about a TV show, which is very different. I want to show you a little bit, a clip, or actually I want to show you a whole episode of a Minnie Mouse show I'm working on right now. And the episode is only like 2.5 minutes long. That's why I can show the whole thing. And there is the music changes like every second because everything is going so fast. And it's a very, very different challenge to kind of like use like a theme, but a theme cannot be too long because you have to, the music changes every second, and then I have to try to still tell a story. It's kind of like a mini movie. And yeah, I thought I'm going to show you the little episode and then we can talk a little bit about it. Just to show you the difference.
Come on in and join the fun, 'cause our party's just begun. It's such a treat when best friends meet, with everyone, so jump right in, there's a lot to do. Lily's photos are waiting for you. Oh, Daisy, don't you just love my new purse? It's perfect for our weekend trip.
We deserve a fun break, Minnie.
Hey, girls, let's pack up so we can get to the lake cabin.
Let's go.
La 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 la.
Beat it, you pesky pigeon. Oh dear, it sure is a long way up. Hello? Oh well, I hope this is a way out. Oh!
What's wrong, Figaro? Oh my!
Minnie, what's wrong?
My new purse! It's acting strange.
That sounded just like
A ghost? Oh, brother.
Hello?
I take it back. It is haunted.
There must be something in here to help me get Minnie's attention. Ooh, a flashlight.
Maybe the ghost went away.
Let's sneak over and take a peek.
Okay, you go first.
What do we do now?
Let's get the purse out of here.
Hello?
We gotta get out of here.
I gotta get out of here.
I think we lost the ghost.
Get out of my purse, you spooky spirit.
Bubblegum. I'll bubble my way out of trouble. Ow.
Some weekend getaway this turned out to be.
Girls, we'll get that ghost and rescue my purse. Are you with me?
Charge! I got him.
Hey!
Wormy?
Who were you expecting? A ghost?
A ghost? Don't be silly.
Oh, Wormy, it's so good to see you.
Say, we're about to head out to the lake cabin for the weekend. Want to join us?
Sure.
May I come too? Come on.
So I hope everyone could hear it. But it's very different kind of animal, although the music is still orchestral, but the music changes so much and there's so many notes there, musical notes. It's a very different kind of thing. And then the other thing is that this has to be done so quickly. For a movie, what I said earlier, sometimes there's like a year or more, 2 years time to really think about the music. And something like an episode for this, I only have about a week to do it, which sounds like a lot of time, but it's actually not much time, because there is just, it's very technical and it's very difficult to come up within that week, come up with themes, compose the whole structure, and then actually compose the music. And then, if there's notes, I have to change that. So it's a very, very different thing. It's super fun, but very different. Let me see. So I wanted talk to you a little bit about the actual process of writing for animation. And one of the big challenges is for animation, other than live action, is that most of the time, at the time of that I have to compose the music, there's actually not much to look at. Sometimes I get like a gray, like a video of a gray screen with a puppet, and that's what I have to work with. So it takes a lot of imagination to come up with something beautiful, and sometimes I have to compose music that is beautiful because there's going to be a beautiful, for example, a sunset, and all I see on the screen is just a white screen, and I just imagine how it is. And most of the time, by the time the music is done and I have to deliver the music to where it's going to be mixed, the animation is not done at all. So when I see the final animation, that's when I maybe go to the theater or see it on TV. And then I'm like, oh, that's how it's going to be. That's how it looks. Well, most of the time I do get artwork. So I get like pictures, and I don't know if you can see that, like, for example, there on the back of my wall, this is actually artwork from AMS, which I actually finished last year, but it's still on the wall because it's actually beautiful. So that kind of helped me. Sometimes I just look at the artwork and see, okay, that's kind of like the vibe. But the animation is most of the time not done. And to illustrate that, I thought maybe I show you a little clip of a scene of a movie I did a few years ago. And it starts with a sketch, and that's what I get. So I want to play you first this little video I get. It's like a 1-minute video about the scene, and just to give you an impression what I get as a composer. And there's no sound, there's just the images. And that would be interesting to see the process. So let me share this. So this is the clip. And this is what I would get to work with. So it was a clip. So it's very strange to just watch it without any sound and music. It's like, well, what's going on? But this is the material I had to work with to compose the music of this action scene. And well, in this case, the music, I knew that the music was going to be recorded with a big orchestra. And then also this movie ended up it was 2D animation. So I kind of see what's going on, but the exact timing isn't there yet because it's still kind of a sketch, but I still that's the material I have to work with. So the next step for me is to compose the actual music in the computer. So I'm just going to play you the same clip now, but then with what we call a mock-up. So it's the orchestra, but then in the computer. So it's actually pretty difficult. Maybe I'm not a good composer, but it's actually pretty difficult to get from like nothing to really imagine, okay, it has to be energetic and adventurous, and then write that, and then send that off to the orchestra, then record that with an orchestra. And then in the end, I just have to hope that it's going to match the final picture, because at the time that we were recording this with an orchestra, the picture wasn't done, or the animation wasn't done. One of the reasons that the animation is not done is that most of the time, if you do feature films for animation, it's going to be dubbed in different languages. So that means that the music and the sound effects has to be they have to be done like fairly early stage, so that mix of music and audio can be sent to throughout the world, where in all the different countries they will then record all the voices in the local language. So because that also takes time, of course, to do that. So then when the movie comes out in all over the world, then then everything can come out at the same time. So by the time I'm done and I have to deliver, and the music and sound effects, it's called M&E mix, will go out to all the countries to do all their dubbing, there's still like months for the animation to be finished. So that means that by the time I'm done, I don't even know how the film's gonna really look. If you work with live action movies, which I also do, then the moment you get a first edit or cut, then you can see already kind of what the mood is. You see the lighting. I mean, if the picture is not maybe 100% done, but you can see the actors, and you can see the lighting, and you can see kind of like the mood. You're instantly think, oh yeah, this music is gonna fit, and this music is not gonna fit. With animation, I mean, and this was kind of like still like an example where I can still see some things, and sometimes I get like nothing. So you just have to imagine that it's this beautiful forest or something, and then I just have to do it. And that's in the end made me a better writer, because I really have to focus about what the music is going to tell, what kind of feeling it has to bring over to the audience, and not to be distracted by any picture. So in the beginning, it was very difficult to do, but now, like since I've been doing this for a little bit, I can do that better, and it actually makes me a better writer, because I'm really more focused about emotions and feelings. So I just want to show you the end result of this little clip, and this is recorded with a big orchestra. So let me just show you that just for fun.
Ik wil ook cadeautjes. Heel veel.
So yeah, this is just kind of like the process. I think I only have a few minutes left because time goes by so fast. So I do want to talk a little bit about how it is to live here in LA and to kind of pursue this career. And I get a lot of questions from people from Holland, and I kind of do talks all over the world, and people ask me, oh, Vidjay, I also want to go to Hollywood, or I also want to go to LA. And then I always ask, do you really want it? Because most of the people see all the success stories and all the great things, but there's a lot of there's also a whole other side. It's actually really difficult to do it. And I always say to people, if you really want it, it's totally worth it. But you have to have like a long-term vision and goal, because some people, they think that they can come here and then like within 2, 3, 4 years they will have a career, or they will have a career. But that's most of the time, maybe some exceptions, but I don't know, actually I don't know anyone, but most of the time it takes about a decade to really get your foot in the door. I mean, I started with music when I was like, my first professional gig was when I was 15, when I got paid to do music for a theater group back in Holland. And now I'm 39, and now I just got my first big Disney show for the studio. So it took me quite a long time to, more than 20 years to kind of get here where I'm today. And if I look back in the last decade, the last 10 years, because I've been here for about 10 years, it hasn't been that easy. And there's a lot of rejection. I got close so many times to very big projects, and then it falls apart, and then you do something else. You do another demo or pitch, which you don't get paid for. And then you do tons of them. And then at some point you're like, what am I doing here? I don't even know if I'm good enough. And, you get a little bit like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work out. But I do think if you just stick to it and really love what you're doing, that it will work out. I think the other thing that is very important is that that life itself has to be fun. I see a lot of people here in the music industry, but also like in the whole film industry, that work so hard, and then at the same time they're kind of miserable, or they're not really enjoying life. And I did the same. I've been there. I've been working like crazy, and then at some point you're thinking like, well, why do I actually do it? So I'm still trying to have a really good work-life balance, which I think is really important, because time goes by fast, and nobody knows what's going to happen. So I think it's very important, if you pursue a career in anything creative, that you have to be really careful to make sure you're it's going to be fun along the way. Because when I was 20, I thought by 30 I would be doing the biggest movies in the world, and now I'm 39, and now it's just kind of starting for me. And I'm very fortunate and very happy that I can do what I love, but it's definitely not easy, and maybe not for everyone, but absolutely worth it if you really want to go for it. And I always say I'm the like living proof that I started with nothing. I didn't have, I was born in India, and I was so lucky that I was adopted and grew up in Holland, and I got this opportunity to come here and to pursue my career. But I didn't have like any contacts, or like very rich, very rich family, or very like connections. So I just kind of build it up like step by step. And I think if you do that, and I think it counts for anything like a career or something else you want to accomplish in life, that if you do it like step by step, little by little, you at some point you will see progress. And if you just continue to do that, then I think great things will happen. And I think we're out of the time, because it's 9:45 here in LA. So maybe it's good to open it up for some questions.
Thank you very much, Vidjay. That was a truly engrossing 45 minutes. So now it's time to take questions from our audience. We have the first question from Sumedha. She's asking, hi Vidjay, big fan of your music. Do you think that being able to compose music for diverse audiences is a function of sensibilities? Example, can a musician trained in India be able to make the journey to Hollywood? And what would it take to be successful?
I think that is an excellent question in the world that we live on today. Because today, especially in Hollywood, diversity is such a big subject right now. And you see that, biggest example, the Oscars. There's a lot of Asian winners. and that's a great thing. And you see that in all industries here in the film, that now, like, people that were underrepresented for a long time, women, people from other cultures, that now kind of get the opportunity to shine and to really work on projects. And I know that especially the big studios here are also looking for other voices. And I think it's very important, just in general, to have different voices and different stories. So the answer is absolutely, people can do that. In the end, it's all about kind of a uniqueness. And now with so many projects online and streaming, a lot of new projects are made, and they're looking for new sounds. So also not the usual Hollywood or cultural sound. So the answer is absolutely.
It's all about novelty.
Yeah.
Great. So the next question is from Hari Varma. So the question is like this: if you get to read the log script before even the animatic or artwork, would it be helpful for him to plan a theme for that episode or the full feature film?
What was the last thing? Would it be helpful to?
Would it be helpful for him to plan a theme for the episode or the full feature film?
Yeah, I mean, when I read, like for me, music is about storytelling. That's like the number one thing, I mean, at least what I do. So when I read a script, I really think about, okay, what is the story, what we want to tell? And then I analyze the script, and I talk to the makers, the producer, and directors. And then I just analyze, okay, what themes do we need? Do we have a main character? We have a place, or we have a, we write all those things down. And then I will write those themes. And then I don't look at the picture because there's no picture. And I'm just gonna, do it on piano, just piano. And then if I can get the theme right on the piano, then, and that really translates the emotion of whatever the character is, or then we know that if it's going to be orchestra or something else, that is going to be good. So we just start with a very simple idea, and that if the basic idea is good, then it will work. If you just blow it up to an orchestra. So the answer is, I always look directly on, think about themes.
Great. And we have our next question from Hiranmay Narayan, and she asks, thank you for that brilliant session. Have you ever considered working on projects from India, animation or otherwise?
Well, that's an interesting question. I actually did a small movie about 2 years ago in India. It was like a small documentary, and the question was, to me, we don't want Indian music. We just want more Western music, which I'm kind of trained in. And I'm currently, I am working on a Disney show called Mira Royal Detective, which is, I'm part of the writers team. And we have a brilliant composer, Amrita Voss. She's Indian, she's Canadian Indian. She's here in LA. She's the main composer. I'm part of the team. I write a big part of the score, and it's all Indian themed. And I'm not Indian trained. So if people want, if they want an authentic Indian score, then I'm probably not the right person. I probably can do some things, and I can get a team together, but Indian music is so complicated, and you can spend your whole lifetime to it. So I would love to do movies for other countries, but if it's just specifically a specific style, then I always think you need the best.
Sure.
I don't know if that's answering your question, but
I think it did. Yeah. So when it comes to the authentic style of music, you just have to be, when they expect it to be very authentic, you're not into it that much.
Well, I mean, I can definitely make things happen. I mean, I can definitely make sure I hire people to help me. So if someone asks me to do that, I can do it. But it maybe takes me a little bit more time, and I need more people to do it. So yeah, I mean,
More research and more, yeah, got it. So next question is from Supriya. Live action or animation? What is your personal favorite to work with?
That's a good question. And the answer is that I like both. And the reason is that for animation, like what I showed you and what I mainly do for animation is happy music, orchestra music, and Minnie Mouse, super happy. I mean, I'm very honored, by the way, that I can work on Disney's legacy, brand, Mickey, Minnie Mouse, and it's a very specific style. And the challenge for me for animation and orchestra is that it's very technical. It's like a mathematical puzzle. It's very difficult to write the music. I do all the live action stuff I'm doing right now. I'm doing a horror movie and a very serious like drama, and that's all dark electronic music. So it's the complete opposite of Minnie Mouse. And I love to do both. I have like also hardware synthesizers and weird stuff here where I can make like more experiment with sounds. That's more like experiment with sounds and getting into moods. And animation is more like technical, like how going to write the music for the orchestra that sounds great. It's very technical, and the other one is more about moods. So I like both for those reasons.
Great. So next question is from Michael, and the question is, on an average, how many times do you end up reworking on your music, considering the number of changes that keep getting made in animation projects throughout its production schedule?
So how many times do I change, or do I, sorry, I don't know if I understand the question. So like,
do you want me to go again?
Yeah, maybe. I want to answer it correctly.
1 second, I'll just read it again. Yeah. On an average, how many times do you end up reworking on your music, considering the number of changes that keep getting made in animation projects throughout its production schedule?
Well, it really depends. It depends on like a number of things. Sometimes I work with people, like especially with movies, there's a lot of time. So there's also a lot of time to change things. It also depends on if it's like animation movies are very expensive to make. So if it's not like a big studio like Disney or Pixar or Universal or something like that, then like independent film studios that make an animation, a feature film, it's still expensive, but they don't have the luxury to also change the animation constantly because it's very expensive. So at some point in their schedule, they lock it, and then I can work with it. With live action, that's not the case. They can just keep changing it till the end. If you work on a big studio production, then they don't even care, like Pixar movies, they will just keep changing because it is really expensive, but they just have the budget to do that. And for example, for the Minnie Mouse show I do now, the process is we do a spotting session every week. We watch with the whole team, we watch the episode. They give me like some notes, and then I go away, I do the episode, I write it, I send it. Then a week later, everyone comes together, they give notes, and that's it. Then I have to do the notes, and then a week later it's going to be mixed. So it's a very different different idea.
All right, got it. Now the next question is from Raj Kiran. And how do you spend your downtime? What do you prefer to do between projects?
Oh boy, downtime. Yeah, I kind of remember that word. I really enjoy to go away from the studio, just going outside, spend time with friends, be outside, like do other things. With the pandemic, it's just being a little bit difficult with the lockdown. But yeah, I mean, and what I was talking before, it's very tempting to just keep working because it's really fun. And before you're working 12, 13, 14 hours. But it's definitely healthy to do other stuff. And in a normal world, I would definitely just go out the studio, go outside. I like to be outside.
Outside, as far as possible from your studio.
Yes.
Got it. So the next question is from Hari Varma. He is asking, when you compose music, do you keep the sound effects and follies or voila in the back of your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes I get those sound effects tracks, but for that's for TV shows. I get that most of the time. For films, not so much because that's done simultaneously. And then sometimes I have contact with the sound designer to say, hey, what are you going to do there? But most of the time it's pretty obvious. If there's like a big explosion or something like that, then okay, that's going to be a sound effect. I have to get out of the way. So either it's not going to be any music, or I'm just going to be out of the spectrum of that sound. It can be only high and low if I know that the sound effect is going to be in the mid spectrum. So there's a kind of ways to determine how to do it, but I also always have to keep that in mind. Otherwise, your music is going to be mixed super low, and nobody's going to hear it.
Yep. So, yep. The next question is from Sriram, and he's asking, is there a personal project you have been secretly working on?
Well, right now, you mean?
Working on, yeah.
I have to think about it. I mean, there is things that I have. There are projects I'm working on which I cannot really talk about because it's still in the making, and I also sometimes pitching for pretty high profile projects. I can tell that. I mean, I just lost a big Star Wars project. I was very close. But I didn't get it. And it happens all the time. So, and that's like one of the things I also really want to emphasize, that the rejection rate is so high. You have to do like a million things. And then suddenly one thing gets, you get through. And so don't get it like this, let it, don't be sad. Yeah, exactly. So, I am working on other projects, but cannot really tell.
Supposed to be a secret. Yeah, so that's it. We are done with the questions. And thanks again, Vidjay. That was an amazing session.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, participants, for being with us. And we have now come to the end of the master session. See you in a while for our next master session at 11 a.m. IST. Please join us then. And thank you. Thank you, Vidjay. Thanks again.
Bye.
Okay. Action.
Where the lights fade away, another day bright and sun. Look around you, don't feel alone.
See the last stars above, staying in harmony. Imagine your star in the sky.
Every day is a new day, and anywhere we go, together we stay in harmony. Every day is a new day, and anywhere we go, together we stay in harmony. Let's all snap our fingers as we sing together. Let's all wish to stay like this forever. Let's all clap our hands as we sing together. Let's shout and say, the fun begins here. Let's all snap our fingers as we sing together. Let's all wish to stay like this forever. Let's all clap our hands as we sing together. Let's shout and say, the fun begins here. lights fade away. Another day brightens up. Look around you, don't feel